happy to meet you. First off, how are you doing? How are you holding up? And how has your quarantine life been?
I don't remember life before it. We've just been doing this. We really haven't been out since last March.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Thanks.
Well, you're keeping busy and, keeping your writing skills honed. And this is awesome. And thank you for this book, because I have to say, I don't know anybody who doesn't love a good backstory. I mean, really, I love origin stories. I love to know how people kind of got where they were when we know them when they become big. You know what I mean?
Right.
So someone like Cruella DeVille, of course, who wouldn't want to know her backstory and where she came from and how she became who she was? So what was it for you, Maureen, where you decided, I want to explore this idea?
Well, Disney came to me because they said, we're making this Cruella. We're making a film.
Yeah.
And when I was like, what's that going to be like? And then I read what it was about. And I read the script and I saw the set and the development, the art development. I was like, this is amazing. This is... because all my life, since I was a kid, I've had a really, truly, when I say obsessive, I do mean obsessive interest in England from the late 60s through the 70s.
Okay.
And the culture, the music, everything that came, it started with the music. And then I just started drilling down and just got super entrenched. So the idea that I would write a book set in London in 1967, I was like, okay, finally, this obsessive interest I've had throughout my life that has served me no one's when it's not like quickly there's an emergency, find someone that knows where every rock star lived in 1967. It's never needed.
Yeah.
But I was ready.
That's amazing, because obviously you're American, you live in New York, correct? So
I do.
How did this obsession start?
When I was a kid. I mean, it came from the music. It started when I was about 13.
Yeah.
And I guess the first thing I was handed was probably Sgt. Pepper,
right.
Beatles album.
Yeah.
And I just fell into it. And I was like, okay, this is my life now.
Amazing.
Truly, that's how it felt. This is my life now.
That's cool. I think it's cool. And I think it's so great that you've now incorporated this love, as you say, into this book. So tell me a little bit about where you went in your head to create this backstory for her. I mean, we know that when we kick off the book, she's 16. Her name's Estella. She is an orphan. Okay, pick it up from there.
So this is 1967 London. She's an orphan. She's poor. She lives with Jasper and Harris.
Right.
And they live in the place they call the lair. And the lair is half a bombed out building. And they get into through a hole in the roof. And it's in London in the late 60s even is still recovering from the war. They had been bombed. There'd been rations for years. There wasn't a lot of food for a long time. And there's still a lot of rubble. There's still a lot of damage.
Yeah.
So they live in this, when you see it in the movie, it's this fantastic space. That's this grand building that's ripped in half. And they get into it through this whole series of climbing and jumping and holes, and it's so good. And a good lair gets me. I'm a lair person. If I see a good lair, like a space that some people have claimed, that's just one of those things that suckers me in every time. I want to see the lair and the thing that people have made. They survive by stealing.
Right.
And she wants to be a fashion designer. She is obsessed with it. She's just sitting there drawing. She steals fabric. And she doesn't know how to do it. She doesn't know how to get into that world. It's around her, but it might as well be a million miles away.
Right.
She is a poor, grubby pickpocket who lives in a half a bombed out building.
Yeah.
So how is she going to get into the height of London society and the Beatles and the Rolling Stones and all of these fashions and exclusive boutiques? She can't go into them.
Right.
So that's where the story begins.
Yeah, it's so cool. And you were saying, that Disney approached you to write this book. Were they hands-on at all, or did they kind of just let you go with it when you wrote the book?
They let me go a lot of it. I mean, I wrote, they're like, what do you think the story might be? And so I sat and I thought about it. And I was like, here's what I think the story is. And it came out so fast. Sometimes stories I'm like, oh, I don't know what happens in the middle. This one I was like, I think I know what happens. I think This one just made sense to me. It just kind of had a structure really surprisingly quickly.
Yeah.
And I showed it to them and they were like, great, we love it. They were great. Yeah, they were great.
And that's cool too, because of course, we've all seen the movie with Glenn Close playing Cruella's an older Cruella, but I can just see, like, just from what I've seen in the trailer and everything too, Emma Stone, like, she just gets this. How much of an inspiration was she to you, even just seeing what you saw when you were writing this and thinking about her maybe when you were writing the book? Did you?
One of the really cool things I got to see were all of the, they make all these production videos. So all of the different directors of departments take you around, say, the sets.
Yeah.
And they tell you how they develop the sets. Then they tell you how they develop the costumes. They show you all the sketches. They show you how they make stuff.
Amazing.
Like, they show you, like, oh, we created this grand ballroom. Here's how we made 20,000 tiles to develop, we remade Liberty of London as it would have looked in like 1976. Like, it's that kind of stuff. Just fascinated me. I was just completely transfixed by that. Yeah. So there's a lot of really good stuff to feed from, like really tactile. And again, this was all written during lockdown.
Right.
So like, you had a chance to really immerse. It was a lot of watching videos. It was a lot of, still is. I'm acting like it's not going on still. We are still pretty much in the same place.
Yeah.
So I don't know what I'm like. So, now, like, when we go out all the time, no, we don't go anywhere. I'm still in lockdown.
Exactly.
But early on, it was really like, it was kind of scary to even go out in the hallway.
I get it.
I was in New York. Are you in?
I'm in Toronto, and we're back under strict lockdown again, because our numbers have gone up. So yeah, and it's not like you could jump on a plane and go to London for some inspiration to feel it, go to Camden, go to these places where, I know the first place I always go when I go to London is Abbey Road, obviously you got to do that. So you weren't able to do that for this.
No, not this time. I mean, and my husband's English, so we go, we were scheduled to go see his family, and, we haven't, but I was like, well, it's an excuse to really go down the rabbit hole.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Like, what else are you going to do? What else?
No, and it great. And I think it forces your imagination more,
Yeah, to do the work.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I have to ask you about the music, obviously, because it plays a big part in the book. Did you have a playlist in your head? Did you have music going when you were writing? Beatles, Stones, those iconic British, great, amazing groups?
Yeah, I listened to a lot. I almost never listen to music while writing, because I'm one of these people that has to do one thing, kind of like I just, even a little bit, if the music's playing, then I start to drift a little bit. But there's a lot of music in this book, and she gets involved with a rock star. So there's a lot of references in this book that are real, like real addresses, real, they say that this house that these two characters live on, they say, oh, Mick and Marianne lived down the street. Well, that's accurate. Like, that was really the street that they lived on. And I hope people, like, Marianne Faithfull is one of my favorites. So I was like, oh, I hope everyone looks at Marianne Faithfull. Or like, the character of Peter is sort of based on Steve Marriott from the Small Faces and Brian Jones. Like, he's a mix for the Rolling Stones. So he's a mix of those two people.
Right.
So in all my other time when not writing, I was like, I'm just going to listen to this one album 20 times in a row. Like, so yeah, there's a lot of music behind it.
Yeah, it's really, really interesting. I want to ask you, you've had such great success writing YA novels. What do you love most about this genre? Why are you connecting with your readers?
I've been writing in YA since 2004. And the way I got into it is my agent said, why don't you try writing YA? And I was like, that would not work, because I don't know anything about that. I mean, I grew up, I wasn't even Catholic. I went to a Catholic girls' school. They locked us in during the day. And my mom didn't let me do anything. So I spent all of my teenage years trying to tunnel out, like find the exit. So it turns out that's a great place to start from. Because that's what being a teenager feels like. It's like, how do I get out of here? How do I get out of here? Yeah. So there's a lot of that. But also, it's a really flexible genre. Like I've written paranormal and contemporary and mystery, and like readers will follow you around. I think that adults get a lot more fixed. Like, I only read books about people that have a romance on a bridge. I only read books about submarines. Like I think we get more fixed as adults, but YA readers will really swing around and try things out, which I love.
Yeah, yeah, and you obviously get major love on social media. How has social media helped you?
Well, you get a lot of feedback, and you get a lot of instant feedback because they will tell you. They will not sugarcoat it.
Yeah.
They will tell you, and that's great.
Yeah.
They're honest. When they love it, they really love it. If they do not love it, they will also let you know. Like it's all good information, and it's very real, and it's very immediate.
Yeah, there's no question in my mind that when it comes out, it's going to be, I think people are going to love it. But reading this book, I have to tell you, Maureen, this is a movie in the making. Like, would you like to see this being made into a film?
Look, if Disney wants to do that, they're more than welcome. That's very much there. Yeah, I give, you know what, Disney, if you want to, it's fine with me. Yeah. Like if you insist.
Yeah, twist my arm. Okay, I'm done. Yeah, I mean, it's beautifully written. It really does. Like, what I love so much about it was I was envisioning what this would look like, and I kept thinking, oh my God, this could be such a good movie.
Well, it's a very visual time. I mean, it's hard to really overstate how very bright the clothes were, how very extreme, how people had never seen anything like this.
Yeah.
That it's this gray, serious place, and all of a sudden, these young people spring up and they're wearing like lime green suits with feathers on them and like faces painted on the back and face jewels and paper dresses that come up to like their waists, and like people are like, what is happening? What is happening?
So what's next for you? I guess you've been keeping busy in lockdown. Aside from this book, do we have more books in you?
I have 3 books coming out this year.
Wow.
So I have this one today.
Yeah.
I have a book called The Box in the Woods coming out on June 15th, which is a new mystery featuring a detective named Stevie Bell, that I introduced in the Truly Devious series. And then in September, I have a book called Your Guide to Not Getting Murdered in a Quaint English Village, which is a visual guide, an illustrated guide to how, if you end up in one of those villages, like in all the English shows, how not to get murdered.
Oh, how cool. I'm intrigued by that one. I got to get a copy of that. Well, listen, congratulations on all your success. This book is awesome. I really, really enjoyed the read. And it's a big privilege for me to talk to you today. It's I really enjoy your writing. So congratulations on everything.
Thank you.
And, hopefully we'll see this into a movie. I really am going to push for this.
Well, listen, you get in touch with them and you let them know.
I'll have my people call your people. No problem.
Honestly, all I really wanted out of it is, can I have one of those fast passes? Like when you go to Disney World, like, can I have one of those jump the line passes? Just one. And I'd be fine with that.
I hear ya. That's exactly what I would ask for too. So when you do the contract, you make sure you put that in. That's all. Thank you for your time, Maureen. It's great to talk to you.
Thank you.
Okay, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.